Hello, I'm Victoria Van Arnam, and I perform as the Lady Victoria. Joining me today are my co-hosts, Nicole Skelly of The Gwendolyn Show, and Olivia Harding of Music the Gathering. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Now, it's been a while since I've seen Nicole. Last I saw her was in November at Camelot Days last year.
Yes. Yeah, right before Thanksgiving last November.
It's been a bit.
I know.
We get to share a stage together, though, at that show.
Yep. And sometimes I rope you into my show and don't tell you what's going on.
You know, that's part of the fun. So your program is a storytelling, like it's this wild, like fast-paced adventure mashup of fairy tales and everything else.
Yep. It's an interactive storytelling show where Gwendolyn, because she has a really bad memory and is a little bit of an idiot, just thinks she remembers things a certain way. So she just goes through stories and gets sidetracked or messed up, and it's interactive too, so the audience sometimes makes sound effects, or they, when they react to different jokes or stuff, some things will change. And it's definitely, it's fast-paced, it's bang it through, but there are recaps partway through. If someone new comes in, I stop everything and I recap the whole show for them, and then we keep going. It's nuts.
It's highly entertaining.
Thank you.
It's good. And then, Olivia, we were last at the Florida Renaissance Festival together in February of this year, in fact. I believe March.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where everything went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, we're road buddies for a good chunk of the year, which is really nice. We've been housemates and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But my show is Music the Gathering, and my character is Liv the Druid. And so there's three of us, and we're a band. I play accordion and guitar. Marco plays guitar and fiddle. Ozzy plays the drums, the cajon. But we also have a game show aspect. So at certain festivals, we have giant spell cards that we cast against each other to make us do crazy, stupid things while singing our songs, like improv games. We play Floor is Lava. We make up the words on the spot, and lots of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, it's wild. Gwendolyn, I don't think that you guys have actually met each other in person.
No.
So this is pretty cool. One of these days you guys will get to see each other. Though your color schemes as characters are quite similar, I have to say.
Green Club.
Green. Yeah. We'll have to have like a Music the Gathering Gwendolyn Show Renaissance Festival, and we'll be the two people that are performing, with Lady Victoria coming in to guest.
And she's, I was going to say, it's you, us, in the middle of the forest. No one knows it's there except for Victoria, and she just hops between our audiences.
Yes, totally, 100%. I'm on board.
I am the audient.
Yes.
The audient.
Because then it's art, because somebody saw it, right? That's what matters.
Yeah. If there's a Renaissance festival in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did the accordion really play?
The accordion is a myth.
The accordion is a myth.
Yep. It's indeedy, friends. Yeah, so we've been around on the road for a while now. I've been out touring full time for like 4 years now, I guess. Nicole, like who got you inspired to come out on the road?
That's a weird question for me a little bit, because when I had a previous show, one of my friends, or my show partner, was like, we were at a fair and on cast, and we saw some of the independents. We were like, we wanted to do that. And I was like, I wasn't like that. I was like, I love a Renaissance festival. This is a great Renaissance festival, and now I work here. And then I got to be really good friends with a joust company, and they're like, we're putting women in our show. Do you want to come to Minnesota with us? And I was like, why, yes, I do, please. And it flowed kind of logically, like the progression was natural from there. And I hate saying it like that because I don't want it to sound like it was easy, or I had people trying to hire me all the time, because all of the other acts, obviously I don't work with them anymore. So, no bad blood, no animosity, but it ebbed and flowed and everything to with the joust company and singing with a group and then having my own 2-person show and then having my solo show. But it wasn't, and I can't say that I can't say it was getting on the road was something I aspired to before I was actually on the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because it's
did it
very similar to my story that I similarly like the idea of a Renaissance festival. There were people that I admired or that I just like randomly latched onto, but not as something that I was aspiring to.
Right.
Like Victoria, I think that we've discussed how I know Barbie Holder, another hammer dulcimer player, that she came to the dinkiest little Renaissance festival in my hometown, put on by the International School, like 3 tents, amazing acts though. I like got so many CDs that day, had an absolute blast, but it was so funny because she was basically, I was like 15 at the time, and I was like, I'd never seen a hammer dulcimer before. I got all her CDs, and it's kind of weird now being peers and like meeting each other, and I just go up to her and I'm like, hi, I got all your CDs when you came to this tiny Renaissance festival in my town when I was younger, and you're really cool. And she's like, oh, okay. She's very sweet. She's very sweet about it. But I've always had a huge thing for the Renaissance Fair. Like I'm a Renaissance Studies major. I've also had a huge obsession, I mean, who doesn't, with Queen Elizabeth I. So when people ask me what I want to do when I grow up, I had 3 answers. 1, join the Royal Shakespeare Company. 2, make a lot of money doing something boring, because that's easy. And then convert it all into gold coins, put it into a chest, strap that chest in the back of a white pony, and then go through a national park somewhere and become a legend and just be that person that people say, like, did you see the woman on the white horse again? She's there. She's somewhere deep in the forest. Or 3, be Queen Elizabeth at the Renaissance Fair. And now I'm like, oh, geez, hoop skirts in the heat. And that's like not really my deal. But it did get me to audition for a performance cast at the New York Renaissance Festival, basically straight out of college.
That's awesome. Like, I was on cast at Sterling, upstate New York, for 6 years, and my second year on cast, because I remember going to Sterling when I was in 5th grade or whatever, and being like, this is the place I need to be. This is my place. Because of the history of it and the romance of the 16th century in England. And then my 2nd or 3rd season on cast, my mom sent me mail, and it's like a manila 9x11 piece of paper, and it's called My Dream, and the E is backwards and capitalized, but the D is lowercase. So I'm thinking like 2nd, 3rd grade, and it's a man and a woman in like 16th, 17th century outfit on a stage with like curtains on the sides, and the guy's got a sword. He's even got a sword on his correct side. Like, he even has the sword on the left side and the lady is on his right. So I was like, this has been in my head for quite some time.
Amazing. And
I was gonna bring it and show it during this, but then I forgot, and I can't leave this room because the cat will get in.
Darn you,
so
cats.
you were your own inspiration, is what you're telling me.
Yes. Yeah. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. that's
How about you, Victoria?
Yeah.
pretty fantastic. I'm lucky enough. I got to see the Hogtown Medieval Fair is in Gainesville,
So
and
good.
so good. My family is all up in the arts and all about exposing children to other things, not like that. But to multiple like arts and things and different cultures and stuff. So I got to go to the Renaissance Fair, and I got to see some really cool acts when I was there when I was like 7. And I got to see the Harper and the Minstrel, and I got to see the Empty Hats, and I got to see Parlo Gambonzo. That's not how you say his name. And the juggling fools guys, and all of these people I now perform with on stages and or have had visit my house at other times or gone to visit them, and it's absolutely incredible to have gone from growing up and seeing them, knowing that that's what I wanted to do, and then coming back around, because like I would leave the Renaissance Fair just bawling like every single time, because I was like, I need to be there. I know that there is more that's happening, and I want to be on the other side. I want to know what is going on, because like the glass harmonica guy, he's got a doctorate in opera. Like the ones that wear the patchwork
Fair Winds.
Fair Winds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fair Winds. He's got a doctorate in opera. Like, and other things, I'm sure. Like, they are so much more than just like you know, like these people are actual Renaissance people. They really know what they're doing, and they know what you're doing, and they know like 17 other things that you're never going to hear about, because it's not relevant to what you need to know unless you actually get to know them. And it, like, that's my jam. Like, that's it. And that's why we're here, because I want to know the things. But yeah. So
that is one thing that I love about the community, is how eclectic and literally Renaissance man-y people are allowed to be. That I've had situations where like I'll be in some other job that's more, you know, standard and normal, and I'll be talking about like these things that I'm super interested in, and people are always like, they've said things before, like surprised, like, oh, like, you know, these strange topics, you know, this interesting trivia, and it's odd in those environments. Whereas at the Renaissance Fair, if you like talk to a guy who runs the dart booth and he knows like every book that was ever written or every play by Moliere, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's how that works. And like, you know, the concept of being more than you appear is just such a lovely thing. But here we are. So that was also, like, that was my first fair, and I think I saw Nicole there in one of your previous iterations.
I think
of
so.
Steel Sister.
Yeah, my sword fighting show was there for a couple of years, so I feel like we might have crossed paths there.
Yeah, because I've been there since 2013.
Yeah.
I know I saw you in there somewhere during that time.
Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't, years mean nothing anymore. I have no concept of time.
It's 2020 forever now.
It has been. It's been September for 4 months.
It really has.
Like, and it's the 6th.
Wake me up when September ends.
I think did we change planets? Because don't other planets have longer days than us?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I bet we hopped planets.
We're on Neptune.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's getting colder.
It's proof.
Where I am anyway.
Really? It's
just a little bit. It's gonna get hot in the next couple of days.
The poor Floridian.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm roasting. My poor grandma, I have the air conditioner turned down as far as she'll let me, because she's like walking around with a coat on, and I'm like, she's a true Floridian. Like anything sub 80s, and she's like, oh, it's so chilly.
That's so funny.
Okay. But yeah, and was the Connecticut Fair your first fair, Olivia? Where you came from?
I didn't even know about the Connecticut Fair. I was at the New York Renaissance Festival, so and that's the one in Tuxedo. It always makes me laugh that the two places that I think of, like when you say I do the New York Fair, people say Sterling or Tuxedo. I'm like, the one that's called New York. And similarly, like when I say I do the Oklahoma Festival, they'll be like Muskogee or Norman. I'll be like, the one that's called Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But so I started on performance cast at New York. I was a tinker named Aurora G'day, and I was Irish. And I also, a funny situation happened where they needed volunteers to test run the new pub sing. And I was like, oh, I have nothing to do. I'll come and test run it. And there's a lot of audience participation. And I was the only fake audience member who was all about participating. So at the end, they were like, do you want to co-run this thing? And I was like, absolutely. And it cracks me up now because that was a brand new thing. And like we had a ton of fun with it. And then I came back, and I only did performance cast for 1 year. I came back in future years, and it is huge. And like it's a big part of New York now. But there's still a few people who were on it when I helped run it who were there. And like the first year I came back, they were like, oh, like as everyone's coming down. And I was like, oh my God, what? So it's grown into this beautiful thing. And I'm so proud of all the people behind it. Even if it is herding drunkards, it's a beautiful way to herd drunkards.
Good. Yeah. Because
I feel like that should be on a shirt.
Yeah.
Pub sing,
absolutely.
a beautiful way to herd drunkards.
The only more
drunk
beautiful way is
herder.
those. I've always wanted to do one of those cycling pub tours. Those look so fun.
Oh, like bike cycling.
Mm-hmm.
Took me a second, sorry.
No, it makes sense because isn't there a process of cycling when you make beer? Don't you have to cycle it or something like that? I clearly know a lot about liquor and beer production, but I don't know.
You gotta rack it.
Racket, you said?
Yeah, that's a word. That
Yeah,
goes
you gotta
with beer making.
rack it. It's 2 words. Rack it.
2 words.
Because
Yeah.
racket, different. Rack it. And there's
Oh,
hops.
gotcha.
And barley.
Yes.
And yeast.
That was a fun moment. I remember, I think it was like day 2 of me doing the pub sing, and I was running it with another guy, or not pub sing, pub crawl, and there's a pub that has hops growing all over it, and it's gorgeous, just ivied all the way over, and he just goes, "This is hops, and you can eat hops, as Aurora will show you," and I was like, it was so disgusting, but you can't say no.
Okay.
Oh,
That's your yes and for the day.
right?
Yeah. Check mark.
Got it.
Yeah.
Done.
I had a really funny Kevin Bayfus, who we were on the road together. So my first like national show was the Oregon Renaissance Festival, the one that was open for I think 2 years before it had to shut down. But I was there. One of the people in my cast was Kevin Mayfus, who is also technically our wizard for Music the Gathering. He was our consultant at the very start. We asked him about like lots of gaming stuff. His wife who's also a good friend, she does all of our Music the Gathering trading cards. But I still remember that he didn't tell me until afterwards when I had actually obeyed his rule, but he has a rule where for an entire fair season, he allows his friends one hardcore no when they're improving. And we had an experience where we were driving, the 5 of us in a car, driving across to Oregon, and all we wanted was pizza. And I don't know, like, maybe it's just my area where this is completely unheard of, like, because why would New York have something like this? But we had never heard of take and bake pizzas. And so we are so excited to have some pizza. We find a place on the road. We go in. We notice it's oddly cheap. And we see that it's completely uncooked. And it was because of where we were in this road trip, one of the most devastating moments of our lives to realize that we would not be eating pizza. So fast forward to the middle of the season of Oregon. And he and I are waltzing down the street, improving with people. I mean, you know, just interacting with people. And I was playing a ship's cook. And he loudly says, "You know, Libby was in charge of inventing the take and bake pizza." And I just went, "No, I did not invent the take and bake pizza." And that was my one no for the season.
Wow. Now I want pizza.
I know.
I like DiGiorno's.
DiGiorno's.
I like any pizza. My standards are so low. As long as it's pizza, it's still pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a thing on your show, isn't it? On your online program? You order pizzas during it? Or you talk about pizza a lot? I don't know.
One of my recent streams divulged into an argument about pizza toppings. It was a weird day.
Good.
It was a weird day because my first stream that day ended up with I was doing an advice streams because one of my shticks at festivals is that I walk around on the street with a sign and I give people advice, and they can ask for specific advice. They can ask any question they want, or they can ask for random advice if they don't have a question. Then I have random advice I can just blurt out, and then and it's usually really, really fun. So I've done live streams giving advice, and people come in the chat and they post their questions and stuff. And someone said, "Does pineapple belong on pizza?" And I was like, "You put anything you want on pizza." you're the one eating it. Like, I don't, sure. And then people were like, oh, and someone else was like, no, mushrooms. And I was like, I hate mushrooms. And they were like, oh, and it was so weird because it got all, and I was like, now I want pizza. And then I was like, I'm leaving. And then we did have pizza for dinner that night. So that was great.
Yum.
The stream was weird though. It was like, it was just, that's never happened where the commenters are actually seeming to argue with each other about stuff. And then my stream that night on Twitch ended up in people arguing about their favorite hockey teams. Because I was excited because it's the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. And this is the only sport I like. And usually the playoffs end in like June and I never get to see them because I'm not home. I don't have TV or consistent internet to watch any of the games. So I've been watching it and they're like, who do you want to win? And I was like, well, my team's not in it, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, who do you not want to win? I was like, this is the team I hate. And they were like, well, we can't be friends anymore. Like people were flipping tables and they were like, how can you say that? Your team sucks. And I was like, I don't care what you think of my team. Like someone was like, well, I'm not going to bring up the fact that they haven't done this in this many years. And I was like, I watch hockey for the game of the hockey during the hockey game. And then I'll wear my shirts for the teams and I'll be like, yay, I like hockey. That makes me cool. But the other teams, I'm like, I don't know about stats. I don't know about draft picks. I don't know who has a beef with what. I have no idea. Bring me a good hockey game.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was just one day. And like, first an argument about pizza, then an argument about hockey. I'm like, these are two of my favorite things, you guys. Why are you fighting me?
It cracks me up. Like, I was gonna say just sports, but it's really like all deep fandoms. How angry people get. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like if I had more focus, I would love to delve more into the psychology behind it, or the aspects of society that drive people to feel certain ways about sports. Like I don't even know how to skate, so no matter what I feel about hockey, it's never going to influence anything that I see on the ice. As many times as I yell shoot at the guy with the puck on my TV screen, it's not going to make him shoot the puck. But like, yeah, it would be really fascinating. What have we explored or not explored in our society to make us be like, we love this? Because I don't know how long that's been around. I don't know if there were diehard baseball fans in the 30s.
And also the whole idea of like one-upping with knowledge or proving yourself. Like I was thinking, have you guys seen the amazing meme or like discussion making fun of the whole like, oh, you're a such and such fan, name every blank. There's the thing that's been going around that says, oh, you're a feminist, name every woman. And the guy responds, Whitney Houston. I'm every
nice. That's awesome.
Oh man! Speaking of hockey, you got a huge Pittsburgh following in your streams a lot of the time. Like,
I know that's disappointing because that's the only team I hate.
Oh no!
I know it's kind of hysterical. I know. It's
Oh my god!
It's the only team, and sorry. I will admit to picking my favorite teams based on very arbitrary and shallow reasons. And the reason I don't like Pittsburgh is because my brother liked Pittsburgh growing up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll allow.
Thank you.
Olivia and I have spent a tremendous amount of time in Pittsburgh the past 3 years now. You've been there 4 years, maybe?
3 years as Music the Gathering. And then I think 5 years in general.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, because you were there as Greatest Pirate Story Never... Nope.
Yes. Or actually, no. We were there as Roving Blades. Yeah.
Roving Blades. That's right. Roving Blades, and then Music the Gathering, and then Greatest Pirate Story is Never Told is there now as a different group. But yeah, so like Pittsburgh has got one of my favorite stages to perform on, like for sure. It's... Okay, yeah, right? All right, so Nicole, you've not been to Pittsburgh, have you?
No.
Okay. All right, so it's this little fair. It's owned by Paradise,
right.
Which also owns Colorado.
Right.
And it's out in the middle of not a lot south of the city proper. and like you come around this curve and you come around this curve and then like you see this beautiful little forest and this like lovely little fair and then this massive power plant that they've been building behind it.
As of like 2 years ago that was built.
Oh,
it's
no.
Like, it looks like, do you remember in Shrek 2 where you have like the tiny little keeper elf tree and then they zoom out and you see it's a giant like industrial factory?
Oh my god.
It kind of has that vibe.
That's what it looks like. It's very strange. It's like this would have been a very large looking fair and a large, you know, because it's the biggest thing for like fields and fields around. But then we're not talking like a 3-story. We're talking like a anyway. It's overshadowing. But the heart of the fair, once you're actually inside of the fair, you can't see it anymore, and it's lovely and it's beautiful inside. But like that, it really bunkered up their initial what is that, like, view setup. Anyway,
Wow.
they've got a stage there. Maybe it's called the Crown Stage and
Rose stage?
Rose Stage. It's called the Rose Stage, and that's where Music the Gathering and the Crack Show and myself and they had Rondini on there a little bit, as well as one of the local belly dance troops.
Silks and Swords.
Rhythm and Blades? Nope, that's
Silks
not
and
it.
Swords.
Silk and Swords. That's it, with Joanna Abel, also known as Joanna the Fierce. She is super duper. But yeah, and so we're all on that stage together, and the way it's set up, I don't know why it works so much nicer than a lot of the other ones, but like the whole area is really wide open and the stage is really wide, and so we can all basically fit all of our stuff on there without much trouble. There is no backstage.
Well, now there
Really.
is.
Now there is.
This is a journey. This was a multi-year journey because the front of the stage, amazing. It's a great time, wonderful. For a solid year, the back, and I wonder if any Pittsburgh people here know this, the back was just slats of wood. So it's on a hill. So if the hill's like here, the back of the stage came out this way. So there was like a 6-foot drop and then planks. So you couldn't really use the backstage platform. So we were all just on the ground, like on the hill. Second year, there was a platform. So there was now a platform behind the stage, but there was no ladder. And so you had to like shimmy. But there was a door to the stage. So you either could like wait until the show was done, sprint on stage and then run backstage and then you're kind of stuck there. Or you could be parkour spider monkey and you could like shimmy yourself up or jump down. And then finally last year, just in time for this year not to be able to use it, we had, they covered the backstage area. Now there's a set of stairs. And so we can be protected from rain and stuff like that. So that's really nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super. It was a lot. But it's there now, and it's great. When we did a lot of big end of the day shows with the Crack Show on there, because the stage is big enough that we could have all of Music the Gathering. So that's the 3 of you, myself, all of the Crack Show, 4 to 5 of them. Plus any amount of the vodka family who was around and the belly dancers. Like, so at any given time, we had upwards of 15 to a lot of people on the stage. And there's nothing quite like a party, like a Crack Show party. That's CRAIC, for those of you not familiar with their program.
And that's one of only 2 stages where we can have our giant gathering tree, which is Gwendolyn. We have this. It was built by our bandmate Mark, and it's this huge like fold out tree. It's made really interestingly, so it has lots of hinges, and you can take it apart so it lies flat, just like a bunch of planks. But then it unfolds, and it's like this 8 to 9 foot tree with like roots coming out, branches. Wow. But it's funny because we carry it, because we share the stage with the Crack, we're not going to have it center stage the entire time. So we like shimmy it to the side and shimmy it back. So me and Mark are just like, time to move Burnham Wood to Dunsinane again. Just like pick it up and shift it. It's a good tree.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Where do you, what's your favorite stage?
I was gonna do the whole like, I like every stage as long as someone's laughing at me being on it.
Which is the right answer.
Yeah. And the majority of the stages I'm on each have, they each have their own little quirks that you like. But I have come to value the lyric stage at the Maryland Festival even more last year, because I realized that I have several stages that do not have a backstage, or don't have like a covered backstage. And I am on 2 different stages during my run that do not have an exit from the backstage except through the stage. So you can't get out from backstage unless you leave during the next person's show or leave really, really fast. So I value the lyric because honestly, it's a great size stage, especially for a solo performer. Even though, because I do the storytelling shows and I do a trunk show, so I have audience members on stage with me, but it's perfect for 1 to 3 people. It's a great facade. It's a pipe organ facade. So there's all these pipes and organy things behind you. So it's a nice picture. There's a backstage that they just expanded last year with 2 stories. And outside seating and a way to get back to front stage that's not through the stage. And the seating is not very raked, but it's raked enough so that there are no bad seats, and it's really wide.
That means like this is raked?
The seating is like on a slope.
Gotcha.
So as you go farther away, you're a little bit higher on the ground. And then behind the seating is kind of this big open area of the festival. So there's no hiding. If you go past the lyric stage, you see it, period, the end. So you don't have to convince someone like, oh, come down this other little lane to come see my show. Or even, there are some stages I've been on that are like not in a lane, but they're just closed off on the ends. So you don't notice it's there until you're right at the back of the house. Whereas in Maryland, or on the lyric, you can see the stage from wherever direction you're coming from. So you have plenty of time for patrons to be like, something's happening over there. That looks interesting. I think I'll get closer.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's super important for stage design. Like a lot of the stages at the Ohio Ren Fair have that. Like you can kind of like come around, and even if they do have some of those graded seatings, like you can still see like, the back of the house and the rest of the seats and everything.
Yeah.
Everything like moving in towards there. So.
Yeah, I like it too for me just because it is that right side of stage for a solo show. I talked to the entertainment director in Arizona a bunch of times about switching stages there, which is hard because they don't change up their schedule very often, but they have most of their stages are like really big. And I'm like, I don't want to be this tiny little 1-person show on this huge house and have 100 people that don't fill the house. I'd rather be on a smaller stage. Not that I don't want it, not that I want to say that I don't have to do any work to fill the house, but it makes me feel better when there's fewer empty seats.
That's an interesting concept. I can dig that, because you work really hard before your show to make sure that you've got enough people there, right? You're constantly going up and talking to them. You do your advice thing in the lanes. You're holding babies. I think I've seen you do before.
Yeah, I don't know
Olivia,
how it happened. It's real. There's an album on my Facebook, on the Gwendolyn Show Facebook page. There's an album of pictures of Gwendolyn holding other people's babies, and I just hold them, and I have a sign. I just hold them. No, it's amazing. I made a sign because I don't know why, but I have a bunch of signs for Gwendolyn, and one says Gwendolyn and has arrows pointing down, and so I just hold that above my head, and people are like, "Why do you have that sign?" And I'm like, "Why don't you have a sign?" I have one that says advice, and then I have one that says a Gwendolyn Show, and I have one that says mostly professional-ish baby holder. Because no one pays me for it, but I'll have that sign and they'll be like, "Oh my God," and I'll be like, "Can I hold your baby?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." Most of them are like, "Yeah, take my baby."
Anyone, please take my baby.
Take my baby. I think it started because there was like a little kid, like a toddler baby sitting at the end of my stage or during my show, just, giving me a look or whatever. And I had to draw attention to it because it was distracting. And I'm like squirrel baby. And I was like, there's a baby. It's so cute. And I went and I was like, can I hold you? And it was like, okay. I mean, it didn't say that because it was a baby. And the parents were like, pff. And I was like, you have never seen my show before. This is not a smart choice. And then I went to go take the baby backstage because that's what you do when someone gives you something. And then I was like, yeah, right. And then I had a really, really amazing show, like a freaking fantastic show. So I was like, okay, I am going to hold a baby before every single show that I do.
Good
and
luck,
so
Charm.
the next show I was like, okay, you guys, this is weird, but this is what happened. And does someone have a baby for me to hold? And someone handed me a baby.
Huh. I didn't know that was how that started, right?
That's how that started. That was my first season at Maryland as a solo show. So it's kind of tapered off and it's a little bit harder to do sometimes. But yeah, there's
of
pictures.
How things happen. So since now I'm learning, like, you had a sword fighting show, you were part of, like, you were brought somewhere by the joust troupe. How did Gwendolyn come to be?
So I had the sword fighting show and Gwendolyn was in the sword fighting show. It was called The Steel Sisters, and it was two sisters fighting over various things that sisters fight about. And my show partner is a stunt woman, and she moved partway through us working together. She moved from Chicago to Atlanta because Atlanta is becoming more of a film hub or filming hub, and she wanted to get more in the network of that, and it became where it was harder for her to travel or be away for long periods of time because she would miss gigs or have to fly back and forth, which was really expensive and stuff like that. So she eventually said, I'm going to go focus on my stunt work and everything. And then I had like days of crying and everything. Like I knew that eventually she would be focused on that because that's where her heart is. That's what stage combat and stunt work is what she's been focusing on for years, and she's amazing at it. But I was like, do I find another person? Do I go solo? Do I find another person? Do I go solo? And then it got to be to the point where I was like, well, fine, I'm gonna try a solo thing. And then, the night before that, I was like, I'm so stupid. Why did I choose this? I'm not prepared. It wasn't at a festival. It was at another little try it out kind of half workshop thing. And then I did it and I was like, okay, all right, okay, I guess I'm going to try to do this. And then I got booked at a festival that the Steel Sisters had been at. And I handled almost all of the contracting for the Steel Sisters. So I had all the contacts with the entertainment directors. And so they hired the solo show. And I was like really excited because I had the full show fleshed out and I was making props and like setting my props and unloading my car. And I got there and the first day I was really scared, but I was like, just do it. And they did the first show and it was not a train wreck. And I was like, I didn't fall off the stage. No one cried. This is great. And I was very like, I'm going to knock on wood somewhere. I don't know. But I was very fortunate to kind of hit the ground running with it from my experience with the Steel Sisters and being on cast for 6 years at Sterling. So I had all the improv interaction training and everything. And and so that's how that started. And it is still going. People still laugh at me. It's amazing.
That's
awesome.
That's pretty fantastic.
Thanks.
By my approximation, you're one of the only solo female variety performers on circuit right now.
Yeah.
I know there was a lady that was doing the painting show up in Bristol where they would paint on her skirt and stuff. That definitely counts as that too. But I have not seen her on circuit for a while, and most of the other lady acts are duos. They're like Hey Nunny Nunny is awesome. Iris and Rose is fantastic. The Washing Well Wenches is a franchised group, but there's like at least two of them to do their show. Yeah, typically I've never seen a solo.
No, I don't think
wench.
so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I was trying to think who if there were others, but I think that you're it, and you're leading the charge on that too. So right on.
Trying.
Lady Godiva.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird to think when I had thought about going solo, I think before the sword fighting show, because I was working with circuit acts, and when it kind of became clear like that we weren't going to work together anymore, okay, I still want to do festivals, obviously. And I listed out over 36 solo male acts that were not music. And I listed like 3 solo female acts that were not music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Yeah. There's also Draku is solo now.
Oh, is she?
Oh,
I think
Silk's
so.
Silk.
Yeah.
I didn't
She's
think
amazing.
about because there's Shelly Buttons too. She's down in Brevard
yep.
for sure.
Yep.
I know she's up north, and then there's the Hoop Enchantress. She's at
Erin. She's at Maryland.
Yeah, she's in Maryland
Yeah.
and Hogtown. So I met her at Hogtown. I played with her or performed with her at Hogtown for quite a few years. But like that's the thing is that they'll be partnered with like a musician to do their music sometimes. I think Draku might provide her own, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, but that's not to discount that. So yeah, the silk and skill based artistry is definitely up and coming scene in the Renaissance Fair, which it definitely ties into the influx of circus performers on the Renaissance Fair circuit as well. So unfortunately, the circus is having a bit of a rough time.
Yeah.
Also, and so the Renaissance Fair circuit is benefiting tremendously from all of this talent importing from them, as well as from the musical theater scene too. There's a couple of acts that have come in from the off-Broadway performance scene. So we're getting kind of talent in from a bunch of sources now. I don't know where it came from in the 70s, but it's coming from some pretty high-end places now. Like, that's cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Ren Fair fans. And I've been Victoria Van Arnam, also known as the Lady Victoria. You can find me at the Lady Victoria on all of your favorite platforms. I stream every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.
And I have been Nicole Skelly, and my show is The Gwendolyn Show, and you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch under The Gwendolyn Show.
And I am Olivia Harding. I'm Liv the Druid from Music the Gathering, and you can find Music the Gathering at musicthegathering.com, which is also where we have our trading cards representing musicians from all over the Renaissance Festival circuit, or on social media at Music the Gathering Band on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome.